Since the season is now over, it is the perfect time for me to do another quarterback tier list. Let's go ahead and get started with Joe Burrow. I know he didn't make the playoffs this year, and the Cincinnati Bengals haven't been good for the past couple. At the same time, Joe Burrow put up one of the best performances up from a quarterback ever this year, and he's also one of the only quarterbacks that have beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. I know it was a couple years ago, but no other quarterback besides for Tom Brady showed me that they can do that. So I'm going to go ahead and have to put him in top dogs. I really don't think you can argue that. We have Mac Jones now. We'll have the backups in here as long as they play a significant role in the season. If they just play like 3 or 4 games, I'm probably not putting them in here. Flip-flopping back and forth between backup and get out of the league, because if he was a backup, I guess he could come in and get you a couple wins, but at the same time, can he really? I'm going to put him in get out of the league for right now. If you see him being in backup, though, I completely understand that as well. Now, the next one is going to be Jameis Winston. I'm definitely going to go ahead and put him in backup. When Deshaun Watson went down, he actually came in and stepped up in the offense. The offense arguably looked better. Now, he does turn the ball over a little bit, but that's just Jameis Winston football. You're going to get that in every single game. For the first time in a while, I feel like the Browns had a chance in every single game, even though he didn't win many. He actually probably would have won a lot more if they didn't put freaking DTR in the starting lineup. Wait, hold up. I forgot to add a tier I wanted to this. We're going to add average tier, and Derek Carr is going to go into the average tier. I definitely don't think he's the guy that's going to go out there and get you wins. At the same time, I feel like he could be an average starting quarterback in the NFL. If you say he should be in backup, I'll probably want to argue with you on that one, though. So we have Kirk Cousins, a very up and down season. Beginning, they were first in the NFC South, looking like a playoff run, and he honestly might would have even been in great if he would have kept that up. But for right now, I'm going to have to go ahead and put him in the top of the average. I can't express enough how bad that second part of the season was, especially his turnovers. I think at one point when they lost like 3 or 4 games in the row, I think he had 0 touchdowns to like 8 interceptions or somewhere around in there. We had Spencer Rattler, and at times, Spencer Rattler didn't look bad as the backup in the Saints. At the same time, he just didn't look good enough for me to put him in average. I'm going to go ahead and put him in backup. I think he could be a solid backup in the NFL for right now. And hey, maybe a starter in the future. He's still very young. Now we have Aaron Rodgers. This is going to get very interesting because we all know what Aaron Rodgers can be with that big arm and what he's done in the NFL the past season. Obviously, he didn't have a good season and his team didn't either. Is that just because he's on the New York Jets and they're cursed, or is it just because Aaron Rodgers is at his prime days? You can look at it both ways. Right now, I'm going to put him in the middle of average. I honestly think that's a perfect spot for him right now, but he's one of my biggest question marks going into next season, even if he's going to play. I know a lot of different quarterbacks started games for the New York Giants, but I did decide to put Drew Lock in here and have the greatest season even in that backup role. I'm going to put him and get out of the league, to be honest. Another interesting one is going to be Sam Darnold. Like, obviously, he had a great season, but we saw this old Sam Darnold come out in him when he was in the playoffs. With how he's been playing his whole entire career, I don't know if I just trust him automatically now after one good season. Obviously, he's not going to go in top dog. I don't think he should be in great, but I'm okay with putting him in good. We have Dak Prescott. I'm very interested to see what a lot of people are going to think about this, but I am going to go ahead and put him in good. I know a lot of people don't like him, and he doesn't make a great run to the playoffs. With how he looked last year, he did look like an offensive player of the year type of candidate. I think he's a lot better than these guys in average, so I will stick him in good. I feel like it's going to be a lot of people arguing about that, though, in the comments. Next, we have Josh Allen. I mean, we're just going to have to go ahead and put him in top dog. There's 4 players that are going into that tier list, and I can guarantee you guys all know the 4 that are. We'll go ahead and reorder them once all 4 of them are up in there, because that is a whole different conversation. I have Jalen Hurts up next. I'm going to be honest, I do think he is overrated by a lot of people. I think he was one of the weakest parts on his team this year. At the same time, he looked amazing in the NFC Championship game. That is probably the best game that we've seen Jalen Hurts play in a long time. And he's taken his team into 2 Super Bowls in the past 3 years as well. I want to put him at the top of good just because I don't think he's been very consistent, but like I said, he's kind of been clutch, especially in the NFC Championship game. Won to the Super Bowl twice in the past 3 years. I think I'm going to stick him in great. This is Justin Herbert, and this is another quarterback I really think people will overhype. Don't get me wrong, I think Justin Herbert is good, but for people saying that he is amazing and one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL, I don't think so whatsoever. Now, I know that he hasn't had a lot of great teams around him, especially in head coach, and now the Harbaugh's in there. He's been looking a lot better. I can't put his 2 performances in the playoffs behind him. I don't think I'm even going to put him in great. I'm going to put him in the very top of good. If he plays in the playoffs the next year and actually puts together a good game and wins a playoff game, maybe I'll put him a little bit higher. I wouldn't be surprised to see him do that. Right now, I just can't put him in that great category just yet. My quarterback 1, BY9, Bryce Young. And I know a lot of football fans out there probably just going to look at our record and say Bryce Young isn't that. But if you actually watched our games or even watched highlights at the end of the season last year, you can see why we drafted Bryce Young #1 overall and see why he could be a future quarterback of the Carolina Panthers as well. Might be a little bit biased, and a lot of you guys probably don't like it, but I'm gonna go ahead and put him in good. I am like 95-96% sure that he is the franchise quarterback of our future. We have Jaden Daniels up next. I'm just gonna have to go ahead and put him in great. He is so close to that top dog category. I just want to see one more season, make sure he doesn't fall off the face of the earth like CJ Stroud did this year. There's literally nothing else he could have did better. Probably one of the best we saw from a rookie quarterback. Speaking of rookie quarterbacks, next we have Caleb Williams. I'm going back and forth between good and average because even though he didn't have the best season, he is a rookie, and I did see a couple of games here and there where he showed his potential of why he was the first overall draft pick. I hate him Caleb Williams whatsoever, but for right now, I am going to put him in average. Obviously, he can go a lot higher up. He's a rookie. It's only his first year. And with Ben Johnson being his head coach as well, it's only up for Caleb Williams from here on out. We have Jared Goff. I really don't know where to put him because obviously he hasn't had an amazing career, but he's part of the Lions' resurgence the past 2 years. Really don't know where to put him between good and great. I guess we're going to put him at the very top of good because unlike these other two quarterbacks in great on the second half of his career, doesn't have like a much more higher ceiling. I think this is the best Jared Goff we're going to get, but for Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts, they still have a lot more to grow. Brock Purdy is up next, and even though he's took this 49ers team deep in the playoffs twice now, you're still questioning if it was him or if it was because of the offensive talent that we had. And this year, we kind of got to see him without the offensive talent. Obviously, he wasn't like the quarterback that we saw as of recently, but at the same time, he had a decent season. I'm going to go ahead and put him in good, probably right below Sam Darnold. Lamar Jackson's up next. Obviously, we're going to go ahead and put him in top dogs as well. He's my front runner for MVP, and I really think he is going to win it this year. Baker Mayfield is up next, and a lot of you guys are probably going to hate me for this, but I'm going to go ahead and put him in great. His team doesn't have an amazing roster outside of Mike Evans, and he's doing the best he can with it. I think his resurgence in the league is one of the best stories of the NFL the past couple of seasons. Patrick Mahomes is up next, and obviously he's going to be the last top dog that we're going to put in that category. Now that we have all four quarterbacks in here, I am going to rearrange them, and actually, it's no rearranging I have to do because I think that is the perfect list right there. Next we have Geno Smith, and I'm not going to lie, Geno actually had a really good season this year, even though they didn't make it into the playoffs. I am going to put him in good, and probably one of the last ones in good as well. Because of his age, we're not going to see Geno Smith doing any better than this. If anything happens to him, he is going to regress. So with that being said, I do think he should be one of the last ones in good. Next we have Michael Penix Jr. He's a weird one to rate because obviously he didn't play a lot of games, but for the games he did play, he did look amazing. His first start, even though he didn't look the best, he did end up beating the Giants 34-7 versus the Commanders. He led his team downfield and got a touchdown to put him in overtime, and it was versus the Washington Commanders, one of the teams that made it to the NFC Championship. And then even though they lost to the Panthers, Bryce Young put on a masterclass. He did put on a masterclass as well, having 312 yards and 2 touchdowns with only 1 interception. Obviously, I'm going to put him in a good category. I think he is perfectly where he belongs. I am going to put him in the last two. If we had a bigger sample size of what he's going to look like in the NFL, I probably could put him higher. Then we had Cooper Rush next, and even though he wasn't like a Dak Prescott in the Cowboys offense, he was actually doing pretty good, so I am going to put him in the top of that backup category. Next, we have Russell Wilson, and at the beginning of the year when he finally got in the starting position, I felt like that we were seeing the old Russell Wilson back. Kind of started to dip off at the lower part of the season, so obviously I can't put him as high as I wanted to put him. I'm going to go ahead and put him in average. I feel like that word average perfectly solidifies where he's at in his career right now. We have a quarterback that had an amazing rookie season in CJ Stroud, and obviously he fell off significantly because of that. Now, I'm not going to blame it all on him because the offensive line was a little banged up. He lost Tank Dell. He lost Nico Collins for a little while. He lost Stephon Diggs as well, but I got to put it on him some as well. I'm not going to drop him a lot farther down than I would have had him last year. I'm going to put him right over Bryce Young. Now, I know Bryce Young probably had a better season, I feel like, and is the better quarterback in the NFL. But from that first season we had from CJ Stroud, I just can't put him under Bryce Young just yet, but I think it's coming. Speaking of disappointing performances that quarterbacks put up, next we have a Jordan Love. I know he didn't play terribly bad this season. At the same time, what we saw him look like last year, taking his team to the playoffs and beating the Cowboys and almost beating the 49ers in the second round, felt like we were going to have a lot more from Jordan Love, and his interceptions played a huge part in some of the games that they lost as well. Probably had him at great at the end of last season, but I'm going to drop him down into that good category. And then next up, we have another quarterback that had a more disappointing season for me as well, and that is going to be Gardner Minshew on the Las Vegas Raiders. Honestly, I was begging for Gardner Minshew to have another starting job in the NFL because of what he did with the Indianapolis Colts last year since Anthony Richardson was out. Obviously, that didn't work out. Aiden O'Connell looked a lot better when he got in there. I still feel like he has a role to play in the NFL as a backup quarterback, so I am going to put him in that backup spot though. I'm actually a believer in Trevor Trevor Lawrence last year. He was looking really good until he started getting injured, and their whole season just started to plummet. I mean, literally, they were the first seed in the AFC for a while right before he got injured. Then the year before they went to the playoff, came up with a huge comeback versus the Chargers, almost beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs and Kansas City as well. Not so sure what I think about their new head coach yet, but hopefully he will turn Trevor Lawrence's career around because I do think he has a lot of talent. For right now, I'm just going to have to put him in average. Same thing with Tua. I do think he has a lot of talent. I'm going to go ahead and put him in average as well. Even though we saw him have some great performance in the regular season, he hasn't done nothing really for this team in the postseason. Kyler Murray had a weird 2024 season. It was times that he actually looked like a great quarterback in the NFL, but then it was times that he just looked absolutely terrible. I think honestly he needs to move on from Arizona, or Arizona needs to move on from their head coach and just kind of have a restart. I'm going to go ahead and put him in average right now. Deshaun Watson. To be honest with you guys, I'm just going to have to go ahead and put him in and get out of the lead. Will Levis, I'm going to go ahead and put him in and get out of the lead as well, to be honest. Matthew Stafford is up next. I'm going to be honest. I think he is a very underrated quarterback in the NFL. Obviously, he took his team all the way to the NFC divisional round. I do feel like Matthew Stafford is one of the most talented quarterbacks still in the NFL. I hope he doesn't retire anytime soon because I love seeing him play. I'm going to go ahead and put him in great. Aiden O'Connell is up next. I'm very mixed to either put him in the average or backup because once he did start in the offense, I mean, it looked a lot better. He didn't look too terribly bad neither. But at the same time, I wouldn't feel comfortable going in as him being my starting quarterback. I'm going to put him in the very top of backup. If you want to put him in average, I guess I can see that as well. Next, we have Drake May. He had a pretty good rookie season, especially what he had to work with down there in New England. I do think he's the starting franchise quarterback of the Patriots going forward, but at the same time, I can't put him in good because he had an average or a little bit below average season. I just feel bad for him because he doesn't have any weapons. I am going to put him in average, probably right behind Caleb Williams. Anthony Richardson is up next. I'm going to be honest. I think he's going to be a bust. I don't think he can be a consistent passer in the NFL. Now, he can use his legs, but you have to be able to use your arm as well. I'm going to go ahead and put him near the bottom-ish in average. I am going to put him right above Derek Carr, though. And then last but definitely not least, we have Bo Nix. Obviously, he had a great rookie season as well, especially from where the Broncos were last year, turning them all the way around and getting to him in the playoffs. I'm going to go ahead and put him in good, probably the bottom-ish part, because I do think it was a couple of times this season where he was turning the ball over a lot. That being the reason that he lost a couple of games, but obviously, it's his rookie year. It's all looking up for Bo Nix. I feel like it's only going to go up for him, especially with Sean Payton as his head coach. That's going to be my quarterback tier list at the end of the 2024 season. Thanks for watching, everybody. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll check you guys out next time. Peace.